Yay Networks.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to In the Cards and Stars. I'm your host, Brit Mogensen. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get into some astrology in the wild from this week, and we're going to use a really interesting manifestation technique that's unlike anything you've ever heard of before. Let's get into it. In astrology, there is something called your granddaddy power period. This is like the luckiest time of the year. Everybody has one. It's about 3 to 5 weeks. And it's just, this is going to be a game changer. I know it. And I cannot wait to get into this. It's good stuff. And it's very Sagittarius season. So we're going to talk about that. But first, let's get into some astrology in the wild. Let's get into some pop culture moments. So our first astrology in the wild moment, and this is a wild one, Matt Rife. We did his birth chart back in Virgo season because he is a Virgo sun sign. And I like to profile different people that really showcase the qualities of a certain zodiac sign. So for Matt, he's very exacting, someone who very much was portraying himself in a Virgo light. Now, he's since had a little bit of a change. You know, Virgo is known for like their purity, pure of heart, very honest, very outspoken, but also really about like their fellow man, their fellow woman. It's all about bringing people together and having a lot of love and like healing energy. And he was definitely doing that for a long time in the beginning of his career, in my opinion, talking about his family life, you know, growing up without a dad. He was very open about how for a long time he was not successful and almost moved back home and gave up on his comedian dreams until he had this major breakthrough with the help of social media. And he does have Jupiter in his 11th house of social media. So just saying, the astrology is all there. Now, you have to do something with it, but he definitely had that groundwork and he decided to take advantage of it. So, you know, for a long time, I was like, wow, what a great Virgo example. And I don't know, guys, but he seems like he's been going through something, right? And so this has been all over YouTube, all over the news this past week, like the pop culture news this past week. And so I was like, I just want to see what is going on with the transits through his chart, because I feel like we were really able to explain his success by looking at the transits. So I want to see if we can explain his cancellation. Wouldn't you know? Yes, 1000%. Astrology comes through again. There is a very obvious situation here. So here's what's going on in his chart. This is wild. From November the 8th, 2023 until December the 12th, 2023, he is in a Mars in his 9th house transit. Now, I like Mars. You know, for the most part, Mars is great. Mars gives us motivation, passion, energy to actually like get up and make things happen. In the 9th house, this is all about beliefs and ideas. While it's great to be passionate about your beliefs, the problem that we can run into with Mars in the 9th house is this tendency to go a little too hard in the paint for our own ideas, not seeing other people's point of view. And also sometimes it's just about being controversial for the sake of being controversial. Also, Mars is traditionally associated with masculinity, whereas Venus is associated with femininity. Well, what is this cancellation? What is this controversy about? Really him trying to break away from his female fan base, his female audience. Does he really, is he really kind of a misogynistic person? I don't know. Is it a shtick? I don't know. I don't think anybody really knows right now. Only he knows that. And he might be in the process of figuring that out because he does have a lot of emphasis on that 9th house of ideas. And when you have Mars in the 9th house, not only are you fighting for your ideas, but you're also fighting through your ideas. You're also figuring out what you really think. And he's being called out for it. So Mars in the 9th house will provoke you. You know, it will put you in a position where you have to question yourself and you're challenged to fight for your ideas or realize that maybe you don't feel as strongly as you thought you did. One thing that is crazy, I cannot get over this. I don't care how long I do astrology and how much it just always, comes through for me and is proven to be correct. Every time I see something like this, I still geek out. So here's what we have. I found this article from Billboard, and it's all about the premiere of his comedy special on Netflix. And the premiere date was November 15th. Well, if we look at his beliefs and ideas, this transit of Mars in the 9th house. This transit began on November 8th and it goes through December 12th. So definitely bookending that special, puts it right in the sweet spot there. And his special was what actually ignited all of this fire, all these flames. It was the opening joke to his special that really put that heat on his 9th house of ideas and philosophies. So I just can't believe this. This is so wild. Well, I do believe it, but it's still wild. He even went on very controversial figure, Jordan Peterson. Now, that's not somebody that I watch his content. I don't even really know a lot of the things like he stands for or believes, but I do know that he is somebody that, has a belief system that definitely leans towards like traditional, patriarchal, all that stuff, right? So the fact that Matt went on that podcast, that says a lot. He definitely was drawing a line in the sand as far as, people are now wondering, is he going to go off the deep end? Is he going to turn into the next like Andrew Tate? I don't know. People are definitely kind of on the edge of their seats about this, and it's a little bit weird. I really do feel like he's kind of taken a turn. So this is something that, stay tuned, but we can just see that there is this major transit happening in his chart. So it's almost like this was always bound to happen. He was always going to have to grapple with his image, with his ego, with his philosophies, but this is just the timing. The timing's lining up for him. Okay, here's another thing going on. So from December 5th through February 3rd, he is in a transit of Mercury in his 11th house of groups. So what he's really going through right now is he's thinking about Mercury. He's thinking about who he associates with. What group does he identify with? Like if YouTube and if Netflix and if the entertainment industry is, in social media is a big lunchroom in high school, the high school of social media and the entertainment industry, for real, it's more like high school than you think. Where is he going to sit? Is he going to sit with the jocks? Is he going to sit with the weirdos, the Jordan Petersons? Is he going to sit with the creatives? Who is he going to identify with? So this is like definitely I think a new level of him having to like discover himself now in the spotlight. He's talked a lot about how he used to be very bitter. And again, that's very Virgo, to be really honest and upfront about how you feel and what you've been through. I will say, as a fellow Virgo, I don't ever mind sharing my difficulties if somebody wants to know, if I think it can help somebody. Like, I'm not secretive about those things. I really do believe like we're all kind of in this together. That might also be my Aquarius rising, which he has as well. So the other thing about people with his birth chart placements, like I said, I have similar birth chart placements, until you get a little bit older, Aries rules your 3rd house. Okay. So for him, he has Aries ruling his 3rd house. Aries is war. It is Mars energy. It's a sharp tongue. And it is saying things that, like, if you feel something or if you feel the need to defend yourself, you will say it. It is going to war with your speech. Okay. And he's definitely leaning into that right now. Now, usually I think people grow out of that. I like to think I've grown out of that a lot. When I was younger, I was a little bit more hot-headed, but I'm pretty chill now. And I just think that like this is part of that story for him unfolding. And the group relations part is a big part of that because he has to figure out, am I going to, identify with these things and like, what is my reason behind that? Like, is this who I really am? He's having an opportunity right now to really like fine tune his image and make a choice. As weird as that is, he's kind of in this delicate place. And the choices that he's making, are definitely ones that are more about pushing the envelope. So, we'll see what happens. This is, I just think, part of his karmic life lessons. We all have them. And he's going through something, I think. He is figuring out certain elements of his identity that I don't necessarily think he's sorted through before. Moving right along to another astrology in the wild moment. This is just something that, has had me a little bit shooketh, if you will. So So Trisha Paytas, she had her, I don't know why I said it like that. Trisha Paytas had, I mean, she's been around for a long time, right? She has been an OG YouTuber. She was a part of the Vlog Squad at one point. She went on Ellen for being a fast talker many years ago. I mean, this woman has been in and around the entertainment industry in every single facet for years. And, you know, you got to hand it to her. She just keeps coming back. She is, again, uncancelable. And with Trisha, over the past year or so, she has really started to make a big comeback. And a lot of people are enjoying that. I've actually been, you know, I'll put her podcast on in my office on the TV in here just to like have, you know, I like the pink and the pretty colors, and she has different people on. And it's just one of those shows that I feel like it's very light. Like I don't feel like I'm stressed when I watch it. It's very... I've been thinking though, like I was watching the most recent episode and she was talking about like manifesting different things and what she wants. And I was like, what is like what period has she been in her life to where she's manifested such a turnaround? Because she was talking about it. She's a big proponent of manifestation. And if you guys like watch her podcast or listen to her podcast, you know that she talks about this all the time. And, I just got really curious, as one does when they are obsessed with numerology and astrology. And I just wanted to see what personal year she's in, because that is one of the things that I've just found to be so crazy accurate. Like I've told you guys before, I've been in a 7 personal year in 2023. Oh my God, I cannot tell you how ready I am for 2024. I'm so ready for the 8 personal year. I feel like the 7 year kind of like makes you, I don't know, just kind of come to grips with anything that you were avoiding before your 8 year, when you get like all the rewards for the hard work for the last like, you know, years 1 through 7. So I'm just like, I'm ready, right? It's like the end of a marathon. You're like, okay, I'm ready to sit down, like chill and enjoy the win. So I was curious because I believe in it so much. And I pulled up her information, looked up her personal year, and wouldn't you know, she is actually in a 2 personal year. And that's so on point. So let's break it down a little bit. So last year, Trisha had a baby. She had little Malibu, and that was really the beginning. That was the seeding of a new era for her. Every time we have a 1 personal year, it is the seeding of a new era. And this is something we're going to talk about again in a couple weeks when we do our manifestation and like setting intentions for 2024 together. But when you are seeding a new cycle, whatever it is that is like in your heart, whatever you're wanting to allow to unfold over the next, over the next 9 years, that is when you plant the first seed. So for Trisha, you know, she had a very controversial past, a lot of mental health struggles that she shared, which I think is great. You know, people need to know that they're not alone in those struggles. And Trisha's also a Virgo rising. Like I said earlier, Virgos are here to be healers. So sometimes a Virgo will share things about their own experience for the purpose of helping others to not feel alone. It's just part of the path. So for her, she was doing that. And I really feel like we all got a new sense of who she is, of just a new identity that was emerging. And she's talked about it before on her new podcast about how when she became a mom, it really changed a lot for her. And then she was having people on, like, you know, a few weeks back, like Tana and Brooke from the Canceled podcast, and just having these people on and making amends, talking about the past, really like letting things go and showing that she truly is somebody who has put, you know, some of the immature antics and like the little, you know, fights and like those things that she used to really take as just so serious. She's opened up about how when you become a mom, you just realize like that stuff's not important. And she's really been cultivating stability in her life. So, okay, the 1 personal year was the beginning of the new cycle. That was last year in 2022. Now in 2023, this has been a 2 personal year for her. And wouldn't you know that a 2 personal year is all about finding the right partners and really understanding the dynamics of a relationship. So if you've had issues in the past with relationships in a 2 personal year, this is when you'll really be able to kind of work out the kinks, realize maybe in the past where you went wrong, and then set those things right. It's also when we can attract and magnetize the soul partners, the soul friends, the people who are meant to be collaborators into our lives to help us achieve whatever it is that we're meant to achieve in this next 9-year cycle. So 1 is when we plant the seed. 1 is very much about ourselves. It's similar to a 7-year in that those are very solitary energies. It's really about you and you figuring out what it is you want and what it is you need to do to get there, and really making sure you're mentally and emotionally in the right place to do whatever it is that you want to do. So with Trisha, being pregnant, that was a whole experience for her. And she's talked about it a lot, how that changed her mindset about a lot of things. Okay. So then fast forward. So she has her baby. And then, we go into 2023. And who does she end up teaming up with? Oscar Gracie. Now, for everybody who has been curious about who Oscar is, I looked up this information, and he is a journalist. So he actually works with Entertainment Tonight. He's the lead social video producer, and he's also been seen on various other news shows all around the country. So he's worked with Entertainment Tonight, WKYC-TV Cleveland, WFAA-TV in Dallas, Texas, which is where my talk show BZN TV airs once a month, WUSA-TV, ET Canada, Care TV, Access Hollywood, KVUE-TV Austin. My show used to be on that station as well. So just so many different places. I mean, Oscar has been everywhere. So he has the experience. He has the grounded sense of the industry. He knows how to edit things, create amazing thumbnails. One of the things I was noticing, because I am a nerd for branding, and I'm doing a rebrand with my channel to prep for the 8 personal year, really just aesthetically, not the content will be the same, but just aesthetically. And I was really inspired by Trisha's comeback, by her aesthetic, by how amazing the thumbnails looked. You guys will probably start noticing that my thumbnails are starting to get a little more polished. And that's because I have been inspired to step up my game. And that is something that I've noticed that she's really done. If you look at, I even was going through her YouTube channel, and I was looking at her thumbnails now versus her thumbnails when she was doing the podcast, I think it was 3 years ago. And, anytime you do something creative, I think it's amazing. Get out there. That's the first step. That's you planting the seed. But then, as we get more comfortable, as we continue to develop, we start to polish and tighten up all of the other elements, right? And so I just noticed that now she's really tightened up these elements with Oscar's help. It just screams professionalism, and they've even talked about their dynamic and how they work together, and how he really does, take his production hat and he puts it on and he applies it to a YouTube channel. And I just think there's something very powerful about having a traditional television background and then, putting that hat on and diving in for a YouTube channel. Someone like Trisha, who has a personality, who has a huge platform. I mean, this is really gold. I will just tell you from a professional standpoint, I see this as being gold, okay? So all that to say, it's the partnership. Without the right partners in life, it can be very hard to move forward. No one is an island. We can't do everything alone. And trust me, sometimes we have to try, or we have to make it happen until we get there. I get that. But this is a game changer for her. And in a 2 personal year, no less. So that also means that this is divinely orchestrated, I believe. I think there's some sort of energy that's being created here. Also, her husband, Moses, he creates the set. He is someone who creates furniture, and he's created this amazing set. So all of the right partners are coming in to her life right now. Okay. So, I mean, look at him. Oscar, he's been in and around the entertainment industry forever. I mean, this is his ex account, formerly Twitter, and he's got a picture of Taylor Swift. he's been in the industry so long, he knows exactly what he's doing. So I just think that it's going to continue to grow. And not only do I think it's going to continue to grow, when she was talking about, what she wants to manifest, what she wants to happen next on the podcast, I was like, first of all, I would love to read her birth chart, because they always talk about how when she has guests on, they always talk about like their zodiac signs. They always mention it, but they never like know the full chart, and which is fine. If you trust me, if you don't study this stuff, it goes so deep for it to actually make sense and actually be accurate. That's one of the reasons why, like, when people say like they don't get it or they don't believe in it, I don't even get offended, because even down to the way that we read our horoscopes is not actual like correct astrology. Like, for example, if you guys listen to this podcast, you already know that we listen for our rising signs, not our sun signs. That's a misconception. And so it's totally off. So a lot of people's perception of astrology is totally off. And that's part of what I'm trying to do here with our fun pop culture podcast and tarot, is to help explain it in a way that actually makes sense and bring these concepts down to earth so that people can actually see the astrology in the wild. We can see it lining up and we can actually use it to help us, which is what we're about to do next when we manifest. So to wrap up the Trisha, the Trisha segment, here's what I'm thinking. She has been talking about wanting to manifest, okay? So 2023 has been a year of patience. A 2 personal years, a year of patience. My brother's also in a 2 personal year. And, he's been working his booty off, and he's a musician, and he's been getting all these amazing opportunities to work with like really, really big people. I'm talking like really big people. Like, I don't even know, because I don't want to say without his permission. But it's been a lot of behind the scenes work, a lot of development with Trisha, a lot of doing things, like building the set. She talks about how like they're getting it all together. They're doing this, they're doing that, and how she has all these dreams and goals for the future. Well, here's the good news for Trisha and the good news for my brother. They're about to happen upon a 3 personal year in 2024. So going from a 2 personal year to a 3 personal year is amazing. It feels like you just all of a sudden get to like blow the doors right off and run out after your dreams, and they're actually right in front of you. A 3 year is so expansive for creatives, especially. It's a year of a lot of emotion. 3 is associated with emotion, but also communication, creativity. And you go from 2, where you have like your partners, and then what you do is you expand and you are able to allow the wider world in. So you're able to get more opportunities, basically. So in the 2 year, you're building with like your solid partners. You're being patient. You're having to be very, very diligent. And then you hit that 3 year. And once you hit the 3 personal year, you're able to like bring other people in, like agents, like new job opportunities, new features. Like if you work in entertainment, you might start doing more freelance work. You may actually get an opportunity to be on television. Like there's so many things that a 3 year expands, and you can always tell where it's going by looking at the end of the previous year. So now that we're at the end of this 2 year, for example, for Trisha, we can see that the opportunities that she's discussing right now, the things that are happening, it's only going to gain more momentum in a 3 year. And then just while we're on the topic, and then from a 3 year, you contract again and you go back to the building blocks and build back on the foundation of the 2 year. And then the 5 year, you expand. Every year is like that. It's like expand, contract, expand, contract. We'll talk about it more in a couple, in the next couple episodes, but it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And it is always so dead on. So that was fun. Okay. Now let's talk about our granddaddy power period. It always makes me laugh to say that, but that is what it's called, and I kind of love it. First and foremost, we've got to calculate the granddaddy power period. Now, this isn't some fancy schmancy difficult calculation that you have to do in your head. All you have to do is go to janspiller.com/granddaddy power period /. If you're listening, that's just like the physical dash symbol, okay? And you have to get that right, because if you don't, it won't go to the correct site. So again, www.janspiller.com/granddaddy/power/period. -power-period / okay? I'll also put it in the description on the podcast and the YouTube channel. Okay. So let's talk about it. All you have to do here is you go to this website and you put in your first name, last name, your email. Your time of birth and place of birth are very important. If you don't have those, you can check a box that says, I don't know my time of birth, and you'll still get very close. But it would be ideal to have your exact time, because then you'll know for a fact, the precise dates. But basically what it is, in a nutshell, if you guys are watching on YouTube, I've pulled up my granddaddy power period. And the reason I chose this week to do it is because it's actually starting this week, December 7th, going through December 25th. So here is what this is all about. Your granddaddy power period is a period of time that the sun is actually going through your 11th house. Now, we've talked about the 11th house a little bit. It is your hopes and wishes for the purposes of this, because it also includes your friends, social groups, all that, social media. But for the purposes of this, of manifestation, this shines a light on your wishes and your hopes. Now, I have my 11th house highlighted by Sagittarius. So I think I've done this subconsciously, where I've made these wishes. I have set these intentions during this period of time, because I always instinctively reflect at the end of the year. I think we all do, right? But I will say this is very bizarre. So when I got married, I actually got married during Capricorn season, which falls in my 12th house. And the whole concept of the granddaddy power period is that you're supposed to manifest and write down your intentions while the sun is in your 11th house, specifically on those dates, because there are very specific dates for you. And if you don't know the specific dates, just better safe than sorry, manifest all during your 11th house month. But basically, the idea that this renowned astrologer, Jan Spiller, came up with, and she has a lot of different instances, you can Google it, where, she really subscribes to this. She's seen it happen multiple times. She's seen it in her own life. It's just been shocking, the things that have come true. So what you do is you manifest, you set your intentions, you really use this time that is known as your granddaddy power period, which will happen around that time when the sun is in your 11th house, whichever your 11th house is for you, right? For example, if you're Taylor Swift, she is a Scorpio rising, her 11th house is ruled by Virgo. So during Virgo season, the dates for her granddaddy period will be in and around Virgo season somewhere, okay? So the idea is that you set all of your intentions, and when you set these intentions, you have 40 of them. Why do you have 40? I don't know. But if Jan Spiller said you have 40, I'm going to believe the woman. She is an amazing astrologer, and her books are crazy. So that book that I've talked about on the YouTube channel before, but it's called Jan Spiller Cosmic Love. You can use this book to figure out past life connections and stuff. I mean, this woman, a genius. So I just go with it. I'm like, Jan Spiller said, okay. So you have 40 wishes basically during this period, and you can just spread them out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write them down in a journal. I have a specific journal that I've set aside for this granddaddy power period, and I'm going to write them all down, and I'm going to see if they come true. We're just going to freak out if they come true, guys. I will definitely let you know. But you set them during the 11th this time, because what's supposed to happen while the sun's in your 11th house is that not only will you become more aware of your dreams and hopes and wishes, they really come to the forefront, but you also can get new inspiration, new divine inspiration. So something that Jan Spiller said that really was cool, because I'm obsessed with the number 11, specifically 111. That's my angel number. That's the time that my TV show airs on WFAA even, and I didn't choose that. Like, it's just wild. I see the number 111 everywhere. And when she said this, I was like, confirmation. So when the sun is highlighting your 11th house, you can get angelic inspiration, she said. So this is a time when you may have new wishes come in, or new insights or ideas, or like just inspiration to do something that you haven't thought of before. Write that down. She said, write that down. So you want to basically just think about these things, manifest. She also said that she doesn't like to manifest until 3 days into her granddaddy power period. Okay, sounds good. Like, I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to start until like the 10th. I'm going to start on the 10th with my manifestations. And during that time, like, my best friend, Jen, is actually going to be in town. Isn't that so weird, by the way? So my best friend from Dallas, who actually works at WFA, shout out Jen, she is going to be coming up here to visit me, like, for a full weekend until Monday. And that visit that we've been planning for months coincides with the start of my granddaddy power period. And I didn't even know that. Like, guys, it's just wild. It's like making me, I'm like getting goosebumps just thinking about it. How just, it's just so like aligned, you know. It's so cool to see like this stuff in action, because you think about it and you're like, I don't know if that's true. And then you're just like, it is so true. Okay. So you want to do that. And then the idea is that you energize these intentions with full belief. You write them down. You believe in them. You give yourself the opportunity to be fully inspired by the energy of just angelic, divine guidance, beauty, positivity. You want to be like in your most positive mindset. You want to say your affirmations. Like, this is a time when you really have to suspend all judgment and just do, like, basically show up like as your highest self. Like how people say, you know, with manifestation, it's like you got to believe it to see it, and then you got to let it go. But so you write it down, and then Jan Spiller said that these things will start to happen very quickly when you manifest during your granddaddy power period, because during this time you actually have like enhanced power, like personal power. It's when you're at your most like powerful and potent, which is pretty cool. And you can manifest anything from like love to health to like wealth and money to like anything, as long as it's only pertaining to you and like your free will, basically. So you're supposed to like allow other things to kind of fall into place where they're supposed to. So instead of saying like, I want so-and-so, for example, to like fall in love with me, you would say, I want to, you know, have someone fall in love with me that I am also in love with, someone who is kind, someone who's good, and like all these things. You can describe that person to a T, but you have to leave it open for the universe to allow like free will and things to like move into place, right? So you can only control yourself, stuff like that. And this is like kind of manifestation 101, right? Okay, furthermore, one of the things that she also said that I think is really interesting is that she advises everyone to use one of the 40 wishes. And don't think I'm not going to number mine. I'm like going to be like 1, 2, 3, because it's like, you got to keep track of these 40. She says to use one of your 40 wishes to manifest, like not having anxiety about how quickly these things are going to change. So I'm going to read to you guys what she exactly had to say about it. All right, so here's what Jan Spiller had to say. Since discovering it, I have never missed using the granddaddy power period in my own life. When you use the granddaddy power period, I would definitely suggest you include the following wish on your list. I want to easily cut through any fears or negativity that may arise in the month following my power period and emerge with flying colors. I can best explain this suggestion by way of a personal example, she says. The first couple of years that I experimented with my granddaddy power period, indeed my wishes began coming true. But in the month following my power period, when the sun was in my 12th house, the anxieties that arose from rapid changes were so intense that even though my dreams were coming true, it almost didn't seem worth it during that month. Whoa. Okay. Beginning with the 3rd year, during my power period, I put the above wish on my list, and I never had those anxieties arise with such intensity again. So even though it takes up a wish, I highly suggest that it be included in your list. Even with this wish included, during the first year you use your granddaddy power period, you may experience some anxieties the following month when the sun is in the 12th house. This is because there's a whole lifetime of garbage in the subconscious, negative conditioning from childhood, society, relatives, past lives, etc., that is being uprooted and released. So it is natural to experience some discomfort. What? Okay, so cool. Literally, starting this week, I get into granddaddy power period mode. So look out. I'm going to be manifesting like crazy. Thank you for listening. Be sure that you subscribe if you haven't subscribed. We're available over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all those places. And if you ever want to leave a review, if you feel like giving me a granddaddy power period present, I would like to manifest some reviews. So please and thank you. All right, guys, I love you so much. I will see you next week. We're going to be talking about the astrology of fame because all things expansive, all things Jupiter. We're going to be getting into that. And then we're definitely going to be talking about some more things when it comes to personal years and what we can do, what we can expect next year, how to handle the do's and the don'ts, depending on what personal year you're in, because it's actually pretty crazy how accurate it is. And it's definitely one of those things you want to know. You want to have a little heads up. So we're going to get all into that next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you soon.
Yay Networks.